What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Final Read. Best bets right here on Forward Progress, presented by FanDuel. We are a part of the Hammer Betting Network, and you guys know the drill by now. We're going to go game by game, every game on the Week 15 slate. There's no more buys. We'll break down each one as best as we can, and if we like something, we lock it in using the hammer system. Triple hammer, 3 units. Double hammer, 2. Single hammer, 1 unit. Quick reminder, it's Thursday. Limits are up. The market's sharp. A lot of info is baked in to these prices. Not an excuse, just context for you as a viewer or listener in deciding whether or not you want to bet something. Cards loaded. Hammers are ready. And this is going to be a very fun show when we get to the hammer picks later on. So you're going to want to stay tuned in for the majority of this show. Just looking at our sheet right now. And no spoilers. We'll just leave it at that. Joining me today, Austin Bach from The Athletic, Fabian Sommer from Germany. Suuma, good to have you back in the mix. We've had like a kind of weird schedule the last few weeks.
Yeah, and I did not do us any favor with my record on the Tuesday show. I will just say that it was because there was no injury information, and I will leave it at that.
It's tough. Those Tuesdays are. I had to do one Tuesday, and it's a little different. Tuesday's not a day that I'm normally betting a whole lot. But anyways, we're back to the Thursday crew here, and just reviewing our results and the season that has been so far. Still been really solid as a whole. As a group, 8.83% ROI on this show. The Thursday crew, myself, Suuma, Austin, 70-53 on the season. I feel pretty unfortunate not to have gone 3-0 last week. Austin, we matched on Atlanta, Seattle, under 6-6 at the half. We ended up losing that. Suuma, you got reverse swept, but you're still up on the season. So we gotta flip this around going into this week. But so far, so good. Lots of green on the show record. And I'll take it. The alternative, if we go back to the Hitman days on this channel, the alternative is a lot worse. Appreciate everyone who's in the chat right now. If you do want to chat over the course of the show, we see it. We try to incorporate it as much as possible if there is time. If you're watching on Twitter or X and you enjoy the show, you can come on over to YouTube if you'd like. Get in on the chat over the course of the show. All right, guys, let's get into it. We got big matchup in the AFC East. Bills, Patriots. Josh Allen has not been swept by New England since 2019. It's the only year in his career that any AFC East opponent took both games from him. He's going to also try to put an end to the Patriots' current 10-game win streak, their longest since 2015. Taking a look at the current market at FanDuel, and just like everywhere else, we got Buffalo as a small road favorite in this game. Got the total in the upper 40s, potentially some weather to watch out for. And we're going to kick this off in the early going because both of you guys want to talk this game. One on the side, one on the total. Austin, let's start here with you. Patriots, Bills side.
Yeah, so this game on the money line is a coin flip. I can't get there. I don't know, factoring New England's at home. I don't see Buffalo. I know Josh Allen is on a heater. I get that, but I cannot get on board with this number. I'm going double hammer with the Patriots on the money line at plus 100. My big thing with this is I know the Patriots haven't played anybody, and that is probably my biggest concern. Drake May, though, has been incredible. He's good against man coverage. He's good against zone coverage. He's pretty much shown everything that you would want out of a second-string quarterback. And then I just don't think the Bills' defense is the unit where I'm like, okay, hey, they're going to be able to, confuse a rookie and all these things. I know there's some stats out there about Vrabel off a bye as well. He's done well throughout his career. But I think that I just think this is I don't think there's any way that you can say that, in my opinion, that Buffalo is this many points better on a neutral in New England off a bye and everything. This is not the defense to slow down the Patriots. I make the Patriots a small favorite in this game, so I'm off market. I'm willing to put him as my double hammer, and hopefully Drake May cements his MVP status with this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to use this as a hammer play, but directionally I do agree with you here. Jared Wilson's going to be back at guard in all likelihood for the Patriots in this game, so it's just Will Campbell down on the O-line. Kyrus Tonga, their nose tackle, 2 full practices in a row. Looks like he's going to be back in there as well. For me, there's just a couple matchup things. And listen, it's hard to with the Patriots, they've played such an easy schedule this year. Like Buffalo's really the only team that they've played. So we don't really know what they are. But when I look at just matchups, scheme, stuff like that, New England runs a lot of play action. Top 10 in the entire league. They rank top 5 in EPA on those throws. The Bills have been horrible defending play action all year. So that's one area that the Patriots can definitely exploit them. But even Buffalo's defense is built to stop 11 personnel. But the league, and especially New England, have shifted towards these heavier formations, and the Bills have struggled to match up against those all year long. They're just an undersized defense that doesn't have it. So ultimately, I just trust the Patriots to score more on Buffalo right now. You add in the Bosa hamstring injury, which, listen, he's practicing in a limited capacity, but any Bosa and a hamstring don't go well usually. So I'm very concerned about that because their defensive line is without him, they're going to struggle to generate pressure in my opinion. So I echo your thoughts on this, Austin. Suuma, you wanted to look at the total of this game.
Yes, I like the over. I'm still monitoring the snow forecast because there's a little bit of snowstorms in the forecast, but I like this over a lot. When it comes to the schedule, I would argue that it plays more into the defense of the Patriots. Everyone has heard this stat before this week on like many podcasts. Since Milton Williams got injured, the Pats have a bottom 5 rushing defense. They have not been that great against the pass anyway. And I think this might be a game where Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, against those linebackers, Alice Gibbons, I think there are a lot of matchup issues for the Pats on defense. I would expect a very good Bills offensive performance, but on the other side, the same. Christian Benford is in a walking boot after practice. It was a limited designation, so maybe got injured during the practice. I have not seen any actual news on that yet, but if Benford is out, I also don't see how the Bills defense is going to generate many stops. With the snow in the forecast, maybe there's going to be some under money going forward, but I'm really eyeing this total.
All right, so we're starting off the show today with 2 hammer picks. Austin goes double hammer on New England money line. Actually, sorry, Suuma, we removed you as a hammer on this game completely. Are you in there for a hammer pick?
No, it's okay. No hammer.
Last second change. My bad. But we're going New England with Austin. All right, I'll keep it with one of the AFC East teams just for purpose of I don't know, trying to find some semblance of some order in this show. It's the New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one has the Jaguars as a huge favorite in the game. Total 41.5. Jacksonville comes in at 9-4, matches their best 13-game start of this century. Its strongest since 2017. They've also won 4 straight, tied for their second longest single season streak since 2000. Not in much danger of losing this game because the Jets are likely turning to Brian Cook to start this game. Jets injury report came down half an hour ago. Still no Justin Fields practicing, no Tyrod Taylor practicing. Breece Hall back at practice today for them at the very least, but pretty healthy injury report for Jacksonville, Suuma. This is a really challenging game once we start to get to these quarterbacks that I just don't have a large sample on. So yeah, I don't know what to do here.
He looked bad last week, but it was one of those games where first throw in for a low round rookie pick. They were already trailing, so I'm not sure that you can take really anything away from it. And most likely, I would lean that he's going to look slightly better in the second start, but I have really no opinion. If you told me the Jaguars just roll them and the Jets don't cross 10 points here, I would not be surprised. But the Jaguars defense, especially against the pass, they're still a little bit susceptible to me. So I think there are maybe a few tail outcomes where Cook is actually decent, throws the ball well to Mitchell and Mechie, and Breece Hall gets a little bit going, and they might come close. But I have really no opinion, and I just don't know how to price the Jets offense right now.
Yeah, Austin, you might have more of an opinion on Brady Cook, having the bigger college football guy than myself and Suuma. I'd say like not overly impressed with what I saw watching back the tape from him last week. Although, listen, maybe the Jags defense is like the great equalizer. I think they might be a little bit overrated. But what are you thinking here?
Yeah, when you get into these quarterbacks who aren't, high level draft picks, it's like, okay, they're obviously missing something. And they either, whether it's arm strength, it's a lot of times it's arm strength. Like if you don't have the arm strength, you're not going high in the draft. So I think that's going to be Cook's issue. He played at Missouri a pretty good offense with a pretty good scheme. Luther Burden was his main target the last couple of years. So I don't have a lot of hopes. The good thing is, like, we'll get into some of this discussion later, is that the Jags defense probably isn't the suffocating unit. So there might be some success if they can scheme it up. But yeah, I don't. This is hard game to price, but it's not one that I'm trying to get involved with such an unknown on the offensive side of the ball for the Jets.
All right, we won't spend much more time here. I think all three of us are just kind of in not feeling this game altogether. We'll shift over to the AFC North, where we got the Ravens traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Cincinnati beat Baltimore 32-14 a couple weeks ago. Lamar Jackson's never dropped 2 straight games to the Bengals in his entire career. Something to keep an eye on here for this particular matchup. I mean, he's been injured. And I'll just start it off here with my first hammer play. I'm going to go with a double hammer on the under in this game at 51.5 minus 110. Haven't learned my lesson, guys, with Bengals unders because I played it last week at Buffalo. I will say there's about 46 points in that game, 10 points shy of the total, essentially midway through the fourth quarter. And then Joe Burrow threw a pick 6. And then he immediately followed that up by throwing another interception, which led to a Bills touchdown right away. I look at this game in particular. We saw it a few weeks back. The Bengals in that game converted some absurd third downs in that game. They went 8 of 19 overall. But when you look at some of the third down conversions in that game, which kept drives going, you would be like, how is this possibly happening on a regular basis? T. Higgins likely going to miss again after suffering a second concussion. We get positive news for Baltimore today. Chidobe Awuzie back at practice. Has been very good for them at corner this year. Ardarius Washington might be activated at safety for them as well. Another person in the defensive backfield. But all in all, the Ravens offense is broken. The Bengals offense, I'm not sure it's even quite that good right now. You don't really learn anything from moving the ball on the Bills because the Bills are just that type of defense. I think it's too many points. Add in that this is a frigid game. You're not going to see a ton of wind, but this is really cold to the point where there is historically some impact on totals. I know both these teams are used to the cold, but all that, I don't think there should be above 51. I'm playing the under in this game. I've completely reversed course, Austin. I know you're another totals guy. Early in the year, we couldn't get enough of these Bengals overs, and now I'm kind of flipping it back.
Yeah, the defense, I know they didn't play great, but like you said, last week was headed towards an under. The defense hasn't been like wet paper bag as it was earlier in the year. Like they could not get a stop. So the last month or so it's been an improvement. But yeah, your point, I think the offense, I was actually talking to Suuma about this after that Baltimore Cincinnati game. Like every big play seemed to go the Bengals' way in that one. Obviously, there's still some concerns with that Bengals defense, but yeah, the high leverage plays and how they were converted were just like ridiculous throws from Burrow paired with ridiculous catches by Chase. So if you're going to tell me down to down that both of these teams, because again, I still don't think Lamar is 100%. He's not running. He's still not running. Like he'll try to get first downs, but like the explosive ones, like I don't know. I could be totally wrong. But off the top of my head, he doesn't look like he can break like a 25-yard run or anything like that. And I think that's been such a key part, and it's probably hurt their run game a little bit in that we know that, hey, he's not going to pull as much and all these, so you can key in on the running back in the run game. So directionally a little bit of a lean there. I'm not quite there to say I have a lean on this game, but I do think if I had to have one side, I do agree with your underplay here.
Suuma, any thoughts here? Bengals, Ravens?
Not really. I think that the line move on the side has been correct in my opinion. I'm also closer to 3. I mean, yes, we have 2 new data points, but the Ravens were laying like -7 a few weeks ago. And this is basically the same Bengals squad, and the Ravens are just about getting healthier. And I also think that, yes, Joe Burrow was like a question mark in that first game. But I also think that Lamar looks somewhat more athletic, somewhat more healthy. 5-1 turnover advantage. We will likely not see that again. So tiny lean towards the Ravens, but not really anything strong.
All right. We're going to get to more games in the early window in just a second here. But as always, FanDuel making Week 15 even bigger with a chance to win a share of $2 million in bonus bets tonight. Here's how it works. Simple. You opt in, you place an anytime touchdown bet on Falcons Bucks using your profit boost. And if the player you pick scores either the first or last touchdown of the game, you earn a share of $2 million in bonus bets, $1 million for each touchdown. Looking at the FanDuel board right now, looks like they got best price in market for Baker Mayfield, Rashad White, some Bucks players, definitely, certainly, if you're looking for action tonight. It's just one more reason to bet the NFL. So whether you got a clutch feeling on that opening drive or you're banking on a big time finish, now's the time to get in the game. Visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress. Download the app today. FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 19 plus and located in Ontario. 18 plus in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Must apply profit boost token on the select market. Prize pool be split equally amongst all eligible participants who make the correct first or last TD pick. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support of Massachusetts. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. All right, guys, let's get back into it. Keep it in the AFC right now, where we got a big game in the AFC West. Patrick Mahomes looking to rebound this week against the Chargers, a team he's gone 10-3 against in his career. He's also never been on the wrong end of a season sweep by the Chargers. And so far this week, it has been early money showing for the Chiefs. I want to say surprise, surprise. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that the Chiefs are attractive in market to someone out there. As it stands at FanDuel right now, this is KC -5.5. It's been bet up to 6 in some other spots. Total in the game, 41.5 here, Suuma. Start with you. I mean, it's a tough spot for the Chargers. They played Monday Night Football overtime, one less day of preparation. I got to tell you, though, once the sixes are starting to pop, I'm having a conversation with myself on LA.
Yes, agree. I cannot get to that 6, honestly, even with the spot that the Chargers are in. I think that the strongest argument against the Chargers is that offensive line got obliterated on Monday night. Yeah. And I think Spags will throw like everything at them. Counterpoint, the Chiefs are by far the worst defense against play action in the league. Like it's like not even close. And we also saw that, I think, was it the Brazil game? Week 1?
Yes.
Yes. Chargers were 9 of 11 for like 180 yards on play action against that defense. And I mean, Greg Roman might be one of the worst OCs in the league right now. But I think when you watch the film of that game on Monday, your conclusion has to be, let's get Herbert on the move, heavy play action, get him to roll out and not let that offensive line lose all their matchups. So I think this might be a recipe where the Chargers go super play action heavy, get Herbert on the move, and then really throw the counter punch against that Chiefs defense that is susceptible to play action. And then on the other side, Jesse Minter, he has that offense in his back apparently, like in like all 3 matchups so far. Yeah. The Chiefs played, I think, 4 respectable defenses this season. Chargers, Broncos, Texans, and Eagles, and they could not score more than 21 points in like any matchup. And Jesse Minter, we know that Patrick Mahomes is worse against man coverage. Jesse Minter is coming out of the bye week with his 2 most man-heavy game plans of the season. So all in all, to cut a long story short, not a great spot for the Chargers, but I cannot get to 6.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that point at the end, because I think if someone looks at the season-long numbers, they'd see the Chargers play a ton of zone And Mahomes has actually been very good against zone this year. It'll be a little bit easier without, Josh Simmons, probably Jawan Taylor again, Wanye Morris on IR, without the tackles to beat a zone defense. But the Chargers have been mixing in a lot more, man. I think the Chargers defense is incredibly underrated, Austin. That's kind of where I think the edge is in this game. Yeah, they might struggle to score behind that O-line, but I actually think that defense is quite good.
Yeah, they had a good start to the year, and then it kind of fell apart. Injuries got him a little bit. Khalil Mack went out, and that was a big thing. He's been good in pass rush and against the run. They had a couple other injuries that I, off the top of my head, I don't remember, but they've been out. If you just strip out those games that Khalil Mack missed, they've been very, very good this year. And without like the star power, you don't see a lot of like, hey, this is one of the best players at their respective position on that team. The interesting thing for me in this game, because I do lean Chargers as well if they get to 6. It's just it was like, I know they won, but it was so bad last week.
Yeah.
And they did, I'll give like if some credit with Herbert willingness, or whether that was the game plan, whatever it was, to use his legs, whether it was scrambling, they had a designed run late on the zone read that he took for a big gain. I wonder how much of that, like that was a lot of their success. Those high leverage plays and whatnot. How much of that kind of gets game planned by the Chiefs? But again, the Chiefs defense has not been like what we're used to. I know Chris Jones had an incredible stretch in that game this past week, but that's not a unit that is what we're used to the last couple of years. And then obviously we know the offensive struggles as well. So yeah, Chargers at 6 for me. But until then, I can't get involved here.
We'll keep it in the AFC West with the Raiders traveling on the road to take on the aforementioned Eagles, who played Monday night. Jalen Hurts had a rough Monday night. Posted a career worst 5 turnovers in their loss to the Chargers. One sequence even saw him throw an interception, recover a fumble, then fumble again. That's the first time a play like that has been recorded in league play-by-plays since 1978. So quite a long time for that type of play. This is an interesting one in market. Eagles are laying 11.5, total 38.5. Kenny Pickett starting this game. And Austin, the market reaction on like the Pickett news yesterday was to go out towards the Eagles a little bit more. It's been bought back a bit since then. I feel like Pickett gives this off. I mean, I don't know that anyone can do anything behind this O-line, but it feels like we've seen enough of Geno struggle in this offense to think that, Pickett might actually be able to do a better job here.
Yeah, one of the biggest issue with the Raiders this year is that Geno has been slightly better against he still hasn't been good, but he's shown some improvement when teams blitz him. And because this offensive line is so bad, you don't have to blitz. He's been horrible when teams have been able to drop back in coverage, just rush for and go. And that is the Eagles' MO. I think we saw it this past week with the Chargers. Terrible offensive line. They blitzed like on 12% of dropbacks. So it's just a matchup that Geno would have absolutely struggled in. And Pickett, again, I don't expect Pickett to do much here, but I do think there's an element of like his athleticism and willingness to scramble and kind of move outside of the pocket where Geno isn't really at this point in his career interested in doing. That there's a little bit of, I don't know if they're going to sustain drives, but maybe, hey, we can kind of flip field position a little bit, or, maybe if we're trailing, we can move the ball a little bit more. So I do think this matchup, I'm not going to say holistically, but maybe this matchup and in this offensive line that Pickett might have, I don't know if I want to say he's better, but there's maybe like a more avenues to success, I think is the way to word it. Long story short of saying I'm not interested in this game at all, but I do think Pickett brings an element that teams might not be used to with this Raiders offense.
Yeah, I mean, Suuma, I'm pretty close to the Raiders at this number. I think we all know how bad Las Vegas is. We know Pete Carroll loves to cover spreads, though. Loves to kick field goals as time expires to get inside the number like he did last week against Denver. They got that working in their favor at the very least. It's just the Eagles offense is like their stuffed rate is so high. They create negative plays in the running game to start drives. That's one spot where the Raiders defense has actually been pretty decent this year. It's just so hard to see them building up, like scoring enough points to win by margin in these types of games. I have a pretty strong lean to the Raiders here, Suuma.
Yes, agree. Since their bye week, they have not crossed 21 points on offense. And before their bye week against the Giants and the Vikings, they did some new stuff. They called more under center, I think more under center play action. They used a 6th offensive lineman more than usual. And then after the bye week, like every wrinkle has been evaporated. So I'm not sure what they're doing there, to be honest. By like ratings, when I adjust for schedule and like more recent performances, I'm pretty low on their offense. And it just feels hard to see or to envision the Eagles really winning by margin these days and really struck together like a clean game where they win by like 21 or something, and even against the Raiders. And like you said it, I mean, Pickett can, in my opinion, just be a tiny upgrade. I don't see how it could get much worse if you have a quarterback who can get out the ball much more quicker than Smith.
Okay, we'll move it on here. The Cleveland Browns lost last week at home to the Titans. Almost seems impossible to do that at this point, but they did. They're going out on the road to take on the Bears. Currently in market, Bears laying 7.5 points, total in the 39 range. At 9-4, the Bears are closing in on their first double-digit win since 2018 when they finished 12-4. Reminder, they finished 5-12 last year. Guys, last second here, I almost changed one of my hammer picks to take the Bears because of the injury report that came down for the Browns this afternoon. And I don't know how this is going to get any better for them. Injuries at tight end, receiver, in the secondary with Denzel Ward. But the offensive line, they put their center on IR. Left guard, right tackle, 2 straight DNPs for all of them. Bitonio, Teller, Conklin. Backup tackle, DeJuan Jones is on IR. On the defensive line, Mason Graham hasn't practiced in 2 days. Aiton Huntington still not practicing for them. This is like a catastrophic injury report. And I get, like, I'm not big on the Bears. I think that the Bears are, they've been finding ways to get by. But Shadur Sanders behind he holds the ball a long time. Behind this O-line, I don't care what other team is on the opposite side. That's going to be a problem. So, Austin, like, I think this number is short now. With what we know on Thursday with both of these teams, I have a pretty strong opinion towards the Bears here.
Yeah, I was looking at the Mason Graham because when I start with the Bears, it's all about the run game. And Mason Graham got off to a little bit of a slow start, but has actually been playing pretty well the last month or so. If you're taking a piece out of the middle of that defense and you're going to tell me that they had like a 67% success rate against the Packers on the ground. Like, Ben Johnson has this run game absolutely cooking right now, and that's been honestly why a lot of their success is there. Caleb can find the explosives and whatnot, and then you're going to throw in the fact that I have to back a rookie quarterback who holds the ball in his 3rd start or 4th start now. That's just a recipe for disaster. And I don't think Ben Johnson's one to lose. They can sit on this. And that's one of the things, like, I don't know if they get down the Browns, is there a path with Shedeur having to throw the ball because of the offensive line woes, and that the Bears can kind of keep it away from them with the success that they're probably going to have running. So I don't have a lean in this game, but man, it would be I'd be terrified to be backing the Browns in this situation.
Yeah, like when I saw the line posted on Sunday night, I'm like, yeah, you know what? There might be a decent chance I'm going to end up on the Browns in this game. And then as the week has gone on here, it's just there's no chance, and not at these prices. That's for sure. I mean, they were trailing by 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter to the Titans at home. Like, it's not like they can't get blown out in any given game. Suuma, thoughts here, Bears and Browns.
I want to make the same point as Austin, because Malik Collins, Mason Graham, let's imagine they don't have their top 2 defensive tackles from like early in the season or almost the whole season. And the Browns have been a top 3 run defense throughout the season. But as Austin said, if there's one guy in the league who is able to pick up like 1 or 2 matchups and then pound it like all game long until the opposing defense somehow is able to stop it, it's Ben Johnson. So I can really see them, like, all those double teams up the middle, like inside zone, man duo concepts, leave Myles Garrett outside and just not let him have any impact on the run defense. I mean, I can really envision a game where this is the matchup where the Browns rush defense might get exposed, not because they are bad, but just because they have no beef up the middle. And then there's a guy who can just out scheme them like for 60 minutes. So yeah, I could not touch the Browns, to be honest.
All right. Well, we're going to move from one very beat up team to another, with the Cardinals traveling to take on the Houston Texans on the road. Houston's rattled off 5 straight wins. It's the 5th longest streak in team history. They've taken 8 of their last 10 as well. The only losses were 1-score games to the Seahawks and the Broncos in that span. So pretty impressive run for the Texans. And they find themselves in kind of unusual territory here as 9.5-point favorites at home to Arizona. The total is 42.5. I mentioned in the injury report, Trey Benson's been shut down for the year. He's not coming back. Marvin Harrison's not practicing. On the offensive line, left tackle Paris Johnson is week to week. Right guard and right tackle are on IR. Left guard Evan Brown has been dealing with a personal situation. He's away from the team. Defensively, it's been a mess for them all season long with injuries across every single level. Suuma, I'll go to you here. I mean, I know you want to talk total in this game, so I'll give you the opportunity to do that. I thought this would be like a decent spot to maybe play against Houston, but now, again, late in the week, Arizona is just, I don't even know who they're fielding anymore here.
Yeah, biggest problem in this game will be just the Cardinals offense. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, he has looked kind of decent. I mean, if you play fantasy, like these guys are scoring tons of points, but it's not actually highly efficient, or they're not really putting too many points on the scoreboard. I mean, both starting tackles and potentially both starting guards out. You cannot run the ball, and you play against arguably the best defense in the game right now. So if you play the Texans and they know you cannot throw like any change up, you have to pass. I mean, that's really a recipe for disaster. And I mean, Cardinals team totals under, I like as well, but I also really like the full game under, making it I think I plugged the double hammer.
Yep.
Walter Nolan, limited practice yesterday. He might be back. He's arguably been their most explosive or disruptive guy in the defensive line. The Cardinals defense has been really, really bad, but I think with Walter Nolan back, you can still get pressure on CJ Stroud. I don't expect them to light up the scoreboard. It's still the same old Texans offense that has been a little bit better in recent weeks, but I really expect a low scoring affair. I like the Texans as well. I just might like the under a little bit more. I could see scores like, I don't know, 24-14, something like that would not surprise me at all. So yeah, going with the under here. Terrible injury report for the Cardinals, and I just don't see how that offense scores at all.
Yeah, just to add to that, Suuma, structurally, Arizona all season long, because of all the injuries they've had in the secondary, they play some like heavy too high, which fits very well against Houston's passing splits, right? Texans are bottom 5 in yards per attempt against too high, and it makes a lot of sense because you force Houston to methodically work down the field on you. They make a lot of self-inflicted wounds in terms of penalties, negative runs, play calling, just being too conservative. So I think that fits in as well. Austin, any thoughts here with the Texans and Cards?
Yeah, when you have a banged up offensive line, both tackles out, going against this Texans defense, I don't know. Again, I always try to look for paths to success. Jacoby Brissett has not been great against pressure this year. He's bottom 10 in the league in terms of EPA per play. So I can't, is he the guy that's going to be able to like unlock against this Texans defense that nobody has really been able to figure out over the course of this year? I don't know if you want to say like they're trending to somehow even be better than they were early in the year, but the last, month or so, they've been absolutely locked in. So yeah, I don't see a lot of paths to success here for Arizona. If I had to, I would lean a little bit more towards the under than Houston, just because I still have worries about that Houston offense in their down-to-down success. So agree with a little bit with Suuma here.
Okay, we're going to end with our final game in the early window here, which is the NFC East matchup. Giants hosting the Commanders. I came on right before the show. I loaded up our spreadsheet with the picks that we put in. Normally, I don't really pay attention to your guys' stuff. I just kind of leave it and set it and forget it, so to speak. But structuring the show, And I think this is a first. I think this is the first time in history where all three of our triple hammers are going to be the same this week. Ordinarily in the past, guys, I've done this show for a long time. When there's consensus and agreement, it hasn't ended well. So we got to hope that this one does. Austin, I'll start with you. All three of us looking at the total in this game. I'll let you start and make the case for the over here with the Giants and Commies.
Yeah, over 46.5, minus 104. I think that's a fantastic price at FanDuel. It's supposed to be a colder game. There's maybe a little bit of threat of wind, but it's not anything that's drastic in my mind. And I know that wind's a huge factor, but like the Commanders' defense is so slow, and there's just so like they just can't stop anything. They're switching play callers. They're doing all these things. Nothing's working. They're like, again, JJ McCarthy had like one of the worst stretches of quarterback play ever, and he looked like a good quarterback in the NFL against them last week. On the other side of the ball, I don't think the Giants defense is very good either. Both these teams rank bottom 3 in EPA per play on defense. They work in the bottom 5 of success rate. I just don't think it's working. And Mariota, people tend to just think he's a downgrade. He's managed this offense pretty well over the last 2 years when he's been in there, and obviously more so this year. He can move the ball a bit. So I just don't see there's a lot of paths to both defenses getting stops here. And the Commanders, it's the slow. They're so slow. Like I can't state that enough. That it's just so easy to get like easy yards because of how slow their defense is. So yeah, I'll kick it off. I'll let you guys. We'll just copy each other for three straight breakdowns here.
Okay, so for the Commies defense, Bobby Wagner hasn't practiced 2 straight days. Jonathan Jones hasn't practiced 2 straight days. So if you think the Commanders defense is already bad, it's looking like it could possibly get worse because they're already decimated at corner as well. For the Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau not practicing. Raheem Nunez-Roches on the defensive line not practicing. Yes, they're going to get some corners back. Like Art Green is coming off IR. Their secondary stinks. You look at where Washington is relative to what they were 3 or 4 weeks ago. We get Mariota, which is his ADOT's not going to be 2 like Jaden Daniels. He's going to actually throw some balls downfield. You got a healthy receiving core. I see that XS is in the chat saying like they won't throw with Dart. They're tanking. They were running down 17. They were running down 17 to the Patriots. What's the likelihood that they're going to get down 17 to the Commanders and it's going to be a game where they're just trying to run out the clock? This is a home game for God's sakes. And the weather, which, listen, could be a factor, and that's the biggest risk in playing this. It's going to be cold. To Austin's point, doesn't look like it's super bad wind-wise. Most of the snow is going to happen prior to the game. Yeah, the field will be worse. You got to account for that. But I still think this is on the wrong side of 47, Suuma. So I'm joining you guys.
Yes, the Cliff Kingsbury head coaching mission starts this week, I will say. I like Marcus Mariota better. Because Jane Daniels has been dealing with like all the injuries. I'm not sure that he was ever really at 100% since the first injury. I think that the Commanders will be able to run the ball well. I can see many explosives on the ground. The Giants have like by far the worst run defense in the league. It's not even close. They are really, really bad. I think Washington will have everything in this game. Then on the other side, I think that the Commanders are the worst defense in the league right now. And Jackson Dart, I mean, I really like that guy overall. And Giants defense is, I think, pretty much healthy. So yeah, I can see it. I think this is like a game where alternate overs like shootout potential. I really, really like this spot.
Famous last words. We all agree. We all obviously really like this play because it's our triple hammer across the board. So do what you will with that information. But yeah, we're all there. Quick reminder here on Forward Progress. We're getting really close to a big milestone here on Forward Progress, which is 10,000 subs. If you're watching and you haven't hit that button yet, please do subscribe to our content. It does make a difference. It genuinely helps us grow. If you could smash that like button as well on any of our videos, that goes a long way as well. And if you got a friend who bets and they haven't discovered Forward Progress just yet, send them our way. Tell them to subscribe as well. We'd love to crack 10,000 before the end of the year. With your help, we can get there. All right, late window. Let's start it off with the Rams hosting the Lions. Now, FanDuel, slightly off market price here at Rams -5.5, -15. The rest of the market more towards 6. The Rams can become the NFC's first team to clinch a playoff spot if they win this game. It will be their 3rd straight postseason appearance. That would be the franchise's longest run since the greatest show on turf era. And guys, I'll start this off because I think they're going to get it done. And I think they might get it done comfortably. I'm going to take advantage of that price at FanDuel for my single hammer and take the Rams -5.5, -115. A full disclosure, if it was -6, -110, I would lean that way, but probably wouldn't have chosen it as one of my selections. But ultimately, the big kicker for me today was Kirby Joseph once again, after practicing yesterday, going to DNP today. So you're now missing Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Terry and Arnold. The secondary is a complete disaster for the Detroit Lions. And the Rams are just so incredibly efficient on the offensive side of the ball right now. They can move it on the ground, through the air. They generate so many explosives. I just see this as one of those games where the Rams score at will, and then it's on the Lions to keep up. I do think Detroit can have some success offensively, but to me, the Rams are borderline top 5 defense right now in the league. They create good interior pressure. They're going to probably get Darius Williams back at corner this week as well, which would be big for them because they've had some cornerback injuries. So ultimately, I think this number should be a little bit higher than 6, Suuma. And I'm going to take the Rams as my single hammer.
Yeah, so I think one chance for the Lions would be getting something going on play action, because the Rams defense, as good as they are low-key bad against play-action passes or play-action dropbacks. 30th in pass DVOA, 18th in EPA per dropback, and 25th in success rate. And the Lions are a top 3 play-action offense in like all those metrics. So I think if there's a potential weakness, it's going play-action heavy. The Lions also have no tight ends. They love their tight ends. So I can see like lots of under center, 6th offensive lineman stuff where you can also get something going in the run game, because the Rams like to defend the run out of too high and nickel and dime looks. They play the pass first. So if you can get your 6th offensive lineman on the field, can run the ball well, can use all those play action concepts off of that, I think that would be a way, in my opinion, for the Lions to keep score. But I also agree that I don't see how that defense can generate any stops. Thomas Harper was LP again today. Yeah. So if he does not play there down to like their safety 4 and 5, I mean, you would probably need like 1 or 2 dump Stafford turnovers or a fumble in the red zone to prevent the Rams from scoring. So sometimes with these high totals, we see like late week under money. And if that gets back to like 45, I will probably grab the over.
54, I think you meant.
Sorry, 54.
Yep. Austin, thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't have much of an opinion. The Rams, I just want to highlight, like, they're so efficient. Obviously, like, Stafford has MVP candidacy. Puka's obviously amazing. Devontae Adams is number 2 option. Incredible. Their run game is like head and shoulders from a success rate standpoint better than number 2 in the league. Like they're at 51%. This year, and they're not hitting the explosive. They don't have burners. Both Williams and Corum aren't the guys that are going to, break off 50-yard runs, but they just churn out yards. And when you have Stafford playing on the heater that he's been able to, like, it's just like, hey, 1 extra first down a series. So against a team with a banged up secondary, who I think the Detroit defense has kind of started to tail off a little bit, I don't know how many stops there are, because of how good McVay is. And when you're able to hit both through the air and on the ground, it's gonna be tough sledding. Similar to last week, like the defense didn't play all that great last week against the Cowboys, despite the win. So yeah, the Rams have, I think there is potential. Robbie said comfortably win. I think there's a lot of that in here.
Yep. All right, NFC South, great game here with the Saints and Panthers. I say great game because it's our Panthers collectively as a team. # keep pounding, Eager. Maybe not going to like what we're going to say here, though, for the next few minutes. Tyler Shuck had his best game of the season against Carolina back in Week 10. 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, 129 passer rating. He hit 250-plus yard passes, the most of any that week. 4 completions of 20-plus yards. It was a great game for him. Panthers, though, are trending out towards 3-point favorites in this game. -2.5, an expensive one at FanDuel, -2.5, -122. Total in the game is 40.5. Suuma, I will go to you here first because I know me and you were both considering the Saints here as a potential look, and ultimately didn't quite make my board. But I'm just not getting to this number. I think the Panthers are pretty overrated in market.
Honestly, I cannot do like a deep dive into the matchup. It's just hard to get to that number. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think I have them pretty closely together. Also because I really like what Tyler Shuck is showing us. He's showing us a little something every week. But honestly, the Panthers laying 3 on the road against the Saints defense that has been actually pretty decent in recent weeks. Brandon Staley, it pains me to say this, but that run defense is like actually decent. I thought that would be one of the worst run defenses in the game. And yeah, Panthers defense is nothing you should worry about. And I cannot get to 3, honestly. So if it gets to 3, it was briefly 3 on Monday morning, I guess, after a release. I also like the Saints on the money line at the current price. If it gets to 3, automatic, but I would also bet the money line.
Yeah, it should be noted, like Carolina's coming off a bye. They're getting a lot healthier. They're going to get Cade Mays back at center. They probably get JC Horn back. They likely get a couple linebackers back. So they are pretty healthy in this game, Austin. But I look at the Panthers. I mean, they have one of the worst pass rushes in football. Bottom 2 or 3 in sacks, in pressures, in QB hits. They've somehow won 3 games this year without recording a single sack. Like, to me, that screams regression back the other way, in my opinion. And like on top of that, they're struggling in terms of covering receivers. Like, they give up a lot of open targets. One thing the Saints receivers have done well this year, especially Chris Olave, they get open. I think there's a viable path to the Saints winning this game. I make this much, much closer to a pick 'em.
Yeah, I lean that way as well. If there was a 3 out there, I don't know if there'd be another consensus play out there, but it might be with the Saints there. So yeah, I'll be waiting for that if that shows up. But yeah, I'll touch more on the Suuma with excuse me, with the run game or run defense for the Saints. Like, when we've seen Bryce Young do well, they've been able to have that consistent run game and everything. And if the Saints are going to be able to slow that down, I think that's going to end up with a lot of more passing situations. And I don't know if you want Bryce Love living in that type of environment. Like, you want him more in like, hey, they could run or pass here. And that's where he's been more efficient this year. So that's my the biggest look for why the Saints are there. I actually kind of also like the under here as well. So I think that could be a look. Neither team's really explosive, which is a thing for me. And if you're going to tell me that Bryce Young's, the Panthers aren't going to be able to run the ball, I don't think they're going to step back, like abandon the run and throw the ball a ton here. So I think that plays well to the under here as well.
In that breakdown, Austin, you accidentally at one point said Bryce Love, which is a great segue into the next game, because we have Jordan Love and the Packers taking on the Denver Broncos. Denver has run off 10 wins in a row, matching New England for the longest active streak in the league. They're now 1 victory away from tying their longest single season streak of the century, an 11-game run that they had back in 2012. But they find themselves as underdogs in this game. Packers -2.5 on the road at FanDuel right now. Total in the game 42.5, juiced towards the over. It's a big game here. I don't know that we have any strong thoughts across the board, but I'll start with you here, Austin. Packers, Broncos, anything of interest to you?
No, not a ton. Interesting for me because, like, I think, again, Sean Payton, very smart, knows what to do. He's not going to put Bo Nix in harm's way. And I think Bo Nix is smart too. I don't think he tries to really do too much ever. And that's why I think for the most part, that's why he's been successful, or relative to what expectations are there. But against this pass rush and everything, I think that, maybe getting the ball out quick, game planning for Parsons. I mean, I'm interested. That's like kind of the thing that I'm interested in this game of where I'm neutral on that. But Bo Nix does not take sacks. He does not throw interceptions. So that's kind of like, does that kind of offset the pass rush that the Packers are going to bring there? Because again, the pass rush is good, but like they haven't got home as much as you'd want. The run defense is solid, but I don't know if they're like I think we want them to be better than they've been. And then on the other side, obviously, fun matchup between the Packers offense. But I'm more interested in how Bo Nix manages this pass rush, because I don't think Sean Payton's going to put him in harm's way at all.
Suuma, what are your thoughts on the matchup here?
I kind of like the Packers offensive matchup. Denver's defense has been good all season, but they play man coverage at a 34% rate. They like to blitz a lot. 1/3 of their defensive snaps are blitzes. And guess who is the best quarterback this season against the blitz and against man coverage? It's Jordan Love. Against man coverage, 0.49 EPA per play. Second best success rate as well. Against the blitz, 0.42 EPA per play. It's almost like a cheat code. Like, you cannot blitz Jordan Love at all. 54% success rate, first and second in the league. Honestly, I think that the style of defense that you have to play against him is like 4-man rush, zone heavy, and also be good at rushing him. And I don't think that this is really the style that Denver wants to play. So unless they do like a 180 on what they want to play in general, I think this might be a decent matchup for the Packers offense.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Suuma. I listen, on the side, I make this Green Bay -2. I don't have a strong opinion there, but I think the total's a little bit low. This is going to be like fantastic weather in Denver this week. It's not a concern. Temperatures in the 60s, nice sunny day, no wind. In particular, I like all those matchups for Green Bay's offense. And Christian Watson's been one of the most efficient deep threats in the league since he came back. Now they have Jaden Reed underneath as well, which is really helping them. The one thing I'll say about the Broncos is there's a very large distribution or wide distribution of how they handle certain opponents. It was one of the reasons I bet the under against the Raiders last week, which lost on the last second field goal. But Sean Payton basically at one point in that game said, we got this in the bag. We're running the ball. When he wants to, they will look for explosives. They will take deep shots on a defense like Green Bay as well, especially if they feel the need to score points. So I think both offenses will be way more aggressive than we typically see them be in this game. So my lean in this game is towards the over. Okay, a couple more games in the late window. I can't even believe this is real, man. I can't even believe that Phillip Rivers is starting a football game in December 2025, but that is what's happening as the Seahawks host the Indianapolis Colts. Seattle -13.5, -115 at FanDuel. 42.5 is the total. Suuma, I'm going to go with you here. You're fading the Rivers comeback. You want to be a scumbag, basically.
Yes, I'm already getting hammered in our group chat because I'm apparently hating on Phillip Rivers. But honestly, you go into Seattle. It's not the absolute greatest weather conditions. It might be a little bit cold, a little bit windy. And then there's the 44-year-old quarterback who has been decent in his last season in 2020. But that was 4.5 calendar years ago. And that guy has not had the strongest arm back in 2020. Now you are telling me that he goes on the road and he plays against a Mike McDonald defense that is by far the best defense at defending the run out of single high structures. So they can stack the box all day and just say, hey, Phillip Rivers, dare you to beat us through the air?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not seeing it. I will pay to see it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just cannot see it. Then on the other side, Jalen Johnson, Mekhi Blackman playing outside cornerback for the Colts. The Colts don't have a good run defense. They don't have a good pass rush. This might be a spot where the Seahawks offense really comes back to life again because they have not been that good in like recent weeks. I'm just not seeing it. And if you put scoring pressure on like a 44-year-old quarterback, sorry. I mean, I've liked this guy so much, but I'm just not seeing how he goes onto Seattle after a week of practice and just throws haymakers against them. I'm just not seeing it. Single hammer, Seattle.
I'm in the same boat as you. Not using it as a hammer. I listen, I don't think anyone knows how to price this game. But we're all taking educated guesses on what Rivers is going to be. One of these defenses is like 1B in the league. You got 1A, 1B with the Texans and the Seahawks. It's a nightmare. I mean, I remember the end of Rivers' career. Well, it's not the end anymore, but like it wasn't great at that time. Now he's 246 pounds going up against this defense. Listen, the drive that Rivers marches down when they're down 38-0 in this game to score a touchdown is going to be amazing. I'll applaud him for that. But this sometimes you just got to take a shot. And I'm with you, Suuma. Like whatever. The Seahawks play the Rams on Thursday. They want to get out healthy. It doesn't matter. Like the one team doesn't have a viable quarterback in the game. So I'm with you on Seattle. Austin.
I was thinking about this. Everybody keeps saying like, oh, you know, he's last time we saw him 2020. I thought like, oh, I should go back and like, should I price him as like no, I can't even do that because none of it's relevant. Yeah. I can't sit here, but yeah, I guess the hope here is if Seattle gets to 21, I think 13.5 is a winner, just because I think there is a chance that in typical Phil Rivers fashion, he will drive down the field in garbage time and get the dink and dunk to the running back and get there. You just got to hope you're out of the back door. But yeah, I don't, outside of Houston, again, like this is, and honestly, you can argue that like on the road in Seattle's might, you know, a bigger advantage than on the road in Houston. I don't think this could be like, it could be worse. Good corners, good pass rush, good everything, great defensive mind. This is not going to go well.
Well, we'll see. Maybe we're the idiots. Maybe this at the end of the day ended up being a Mayweather-McGregor opportunity as well when all is said and done. I have no idea. We'll see. I'm very intrigued for this game. I've always loved Philip Rivers too, so I kind of just
it's a win-win. If Seattle covers, hey, you win money. If Rivers pulls up, I guess like losing by 13 would be boring. But if Phil Rivers keeps it close, then like I'm gonna start rooting for him to win outright.
Totally. The final game in the late window is the 49ers hosting the Titans. San Fran coming off of a bye week here, which historically, honestly, Kyle Shanahan has not fared well. At least his offenses have struggled coming out of bye weeks in the past. The current spread is a large one in this game. San Fran laying 12.5 at home. Total 44.5. I don't have enough here, guys, to like really have an opinion on the game. Directionally, Austin, I lean to the Titans and the over, but there's just the Titans. I don't know, man. This team is, you don't know what you're going to get in any given week. The 49ers defensive front seven is in shambles. Maybe we have another great Tony Pollard game, 160 plus yards last week against the Browns. But aside from that, I don't think I'm going to be doing much here.
Yeah, I've like kind of written off Titans games because of how I know they played well last week. They scored a lot of points. Defense got absolutely carved though by Shedeur Sanders, so that's a concern. There's just nothing about them that makes me want to get involved. Their offense is still so bad that I just don't. And like they're playing, I know the Browns defense is good, but playing a competent team in the 49ers where they might have to keep up here. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, it's Shanahan versus this state of the Titans, you know, one of those, but I'm good here. I don't need anything, but I guess my numbers lean a little bit towards the Titans.
Suuma, any thoughts on this one?
I can see the over. If I don't see how the Titans defense really stops San Fran. Yes, interior pressure might get home a few times, but I think that scheme-wise, they don't have like any answers to the test. And then the Niners defense is bad, so one or two garbage time scores might get you home there.
Yeah, I mean, 44 would be a different story than 44.5, obviously. I'd be a little bit considering that a little bit more, but I'm still very much scarred from Tennessee, Jacksonville a few weeks back as well, where the Titans offense is just like, couldn't even believe that it was a real NFL football team. All right, we're going to head over to our primetime games in just 1 second, but football is in full swing. We got basketball every night. If you're betting props seriously, this is when edges actually matter. BetStamp Pro has a prop screen. It's built for people who treat this like an investment, not a hobby. It gives you a true line across 150 plus books in seconds, so you can see where the market really is and which numbers are actually off. That's how you scale instead of guessing off of one or two different outs. Right now, NFL, college, NBA props, they're about as liquid and as sharp as they're going to get. If you don't have a clean, reliable, true price, you're just handing money back in vig and bad numbers. If you want to take the prop market seriously this season, go to betstamp.com/hammer, or you can just scan the QR code on screen to apply for BetStamp Pro. Spots are limited. If you've been thinking about it, this is the time. Check out the product. If you like it, you can use it. If not, you just did a trial. It's easy as that. I use it every single day and will continue to do so moving forwards. All right, guys, let's get back into primetime. It's Sunday Night Football. Dak Prescott coming off a season-high yards for him, 376. Unfortunately, they lost to Detroit, but he's been excellent this year. Leads the NFL in passing yards, sitting tied for second with touchdowns, getting the Minnesota Vikings at home, who finally got a pretty solid performance out of J.J. McCarthy last week en route to a win against the Commanders. Dallas is -6.5, -05 at FanDuel. Total in the game, 47.5. I'm going to start with you here, Austin, because you want to complete your hammer selections.
Yeah, it's painful because I was on this team's under last week and it was over within like 15 seconds, it felt like. I'm going under 47.5, -105. I still think the Cowboys defense is better than what we saw. I'm not going to compare, you want to throw in like, hey, the Lions were off a loss. It's not possible for them to lose 2 in a row. So maybe there was a little bit of that there. I don't actually think that's a thing, but the offensive difference here is huge. I don't like the Commanders I just mentioned. We're all on that over. Their defense was so slow. I know McCarthy looked better. I'm going to still assume that he's not a very good quarterback. I think he's facing a team where Dallas might be able to stop the run in this game, which I don't love the fact that if he doesn't have a run game to pair with his ability to throw the ball. This is more of, maybe I'm talking myself into, I should have bet the Cowboys, but I don't have an edge on that side. I have an edge on this side. So I'm going under. I don't know if like Flores, Dak, like I can't find really a matchup advantage for because Dak's been good against pretty much everything this year.
Yeah.
He's just been great, but again, maybe Schottenheimer's a little bit of a conservative guy. If they get a lead, I don't think he's going to be one to press his luck there. So yeah, this is more of like 47.5 in a game with JJ McCarthy. I just can't get to this price with him right now, despite I think the Cowboys offense is very good. So under for me, that's my single hammer to end out the card. Pray for me for the second week in a row with the Cowboys under.
Yep. I mean, DXPS man sums up my feelings in the chat. I don't hate myself enough to bet under in a Dallas game. Yeah, it's tough because we had like I don't want to say it wasn't a large sample. It was a small sample on JJ McCarthy, but where he looked horrendous, right? And a lot of the way, a lot of the scheme of which Dallas runs their defense has been stuff McCarthy struggled with this year, although he's kind of struggled with everything. And I'm not sure how much you can upgrade him off of just one performance against, what Suuma said earlier is probably the worst defense in the league in the Commanders. So I'm not really sure what to do here. I'm pretty on market. We might get probably get CeeDee Lamb back in this game. We don't know about Jadeveon Clowney or Trayvon Diggs on the Cowboys defensive side, Suuma. Is there anything that you want to do with the Cowboys and Vikings?
Not at this line. If it was below 6, I would like the Cowboys a lot, but not at this price. Yeah, like Austin said, I think this is going to be a completely different matchup for Minnesota on like both sides of the ball. Yeah, and if the Vikings enter this game really with like more O-line injuries, I don't know about Darisaw after today. Yeah, I just don't see how McCarthy moves the ball, honestly. And yeah, Dak has been good enough on against blitz, on like play action, under center play action, where you can really get that defense. So yeah, I trust the Cowboys. All
right, let's shift it over to Monday Night Football. Some big news out of this game today because TJ Watt had to go to the hospital for a lung issue that he had at a Steelers facility today. Rather unusual that you get those, and market has reacted to that now. Most of the 3.5s are gone, and it sits Pittsburgh -3, -115 here at FanDuel. Total in the game is 41.5. Pittsburgh's won 5 straight games, Monday Night Football, tied with Detroit for the longest active streak, but 0-3 in prime time this season. Their turnover margin in prime time, -6. All other games, +15, Austin. They're not getting the voodoo in primetime games this year.
I guess the voodoo only works when no one is watching, and
Yeah.
that's how it's gone. Yeah, I don't have too much of an opinion. The Watt injury is interesting. I know Watt hasn't put up the numbers he has, but it's one of those things that he's getting chipped a ton. You still have to put a ton of resources. Basically, like, I think they've unlocked him at his age now. Basically, if you chip him, you can kind of keep this defense or pass rush out of your face. So I don't, like, with him out and they are able to not have to give resources to one guy, that concerns me. So if anything, like, if Watt is not able to go, I do think Miami's probably the side here. But man, I don't know if it was like Rodgers made a comment that, like, that was a good day as like a 40-year-old or whatever. Like, he just woke up and felt like he did look really good. I don't know if I'm buying it. Like, he looked, I mean, honestly, that was like the best he's looked in like 2 years, 3 years, maybe. I'm going to assume that was an outlier performance. I don't think we're probably getting that again. So I would lean Miami here if Watt's out, but nothing for me at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be much harder without having any tackles either for the Steelers, which is what looks like the case. Broderick Jones, Calvin Anderson, both on IR now. Andrus Peat left last week's game with a concussion. He's been DNP so far this week, Suuma. And, it's not just TJ Watt. Like, it's the O-line, it's Darnell Washington, it's Derek Harmon. Looks like Kyle Duggar will at least be back for them, though. But I still, even at this number, it would be Dolphins or nothing for me.
Yes, agree. At 3.5, it would have been my double hammer, I would guess. But the TJ Watt injury came crushing down. I will make a strong argument for a McDaniel extension after the season because we talked so much trash about this Dolphins offense early in the season. And if you split this season in half, so starting in week 8, this offense ranks 10th in EPA per play and 7th in success rate. Derek Harmon, if he does not get back, he has been really an anchor against the run. Since he's gone, they have been terrified on the ground. And if he does not play in this matchup and no TJ Watt, I think that the Dolphins one game will have like everything they want. And I just think that the Dolphins offense will be enough in this game. I really trust them. They've been playing much, much better. I don't trust the Steelers defense in general. And to be honest, I also cannot get to that big of a gap between the two teams overall.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. One thing I do want to point out is that Tua's cold weather struggles are very real, and this is going to be a cold game. A couple things I will say to that, though. If you go and look at those cold weather games for Tua in the past, the majority have been against really good teams. So you do have to take that into account. Also, this is a low wind game, similar conditions to last week where Miami's offense still functioned. Wind would worry me a lot more than temperature when it comes to Tua because of his lack of arm strength. So I think you definitely got to downgrade the offense a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be that much for the Dolphins. I think they're very live in this game. Guys, we will close it off with Thursday Night Football tonight. We saw early money in the market this week, all on Atlanta. Then as the week has gone on here, a lot of injury stuff working against them. Mike Evans will be back. Jalen McMillan will be back for the Bucs at wide receiver. You got Tristan Wirfs back as well. You got just pretty much a healthy Bucs team relative to where they were. And Drake London remains out for the Falcons, Austin, which is concerning. But I got to tell you, I'm not, I was like roughly hanging around. My numbers around where we were in market at like 4.5. There's some 6 popping right now in certain spots. I know it's game day. I know you don't want to be betting on, into these types of limits, but it's Atlanta or nothing, I think, at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I still, like, I know they're getting healthier, but I don't think Baker Mayfield is right. 3 turnover-worthy plays last week. Again, only 1 interception. Like, he's still putting the ball in harm's way. The pass rush for the Falcons has been there. The issue, though, is like I've been kind of looking to fade both of these teams a little bit, and that's like I feel like that happens a little bit too much. It's been a good year, so I'm not going to complain too hard. But a lot of teams that I want to fade on both sides. But yeah, I lean Atlanta here. I would need a 6, and even then, I don't know. how much, maybe a live look, depending on if Kirk looks all right in this matchup. But yeah, not super interested, but lean Atlanta.
Yeah, I think Suuma, I could be in my all alone on this opinion. I actually think Kirk Cousins is fine right now. I don't really discredit him for the game against Seattle last week because every quarterback who plays, including Matt Stafford, they struggle against that defense. So this to me is a completely different story with the Bucs defense. You can move the ball through the air on them. The red zone defense is not very good. On the other side, you got the Falcons that they generate a lot of pressure. They blitz at a high rate. Baker's near the bottom of the league in EPA against the blitz. I think there's lots of paths for the Falcons to be competitive in this game.
Yes, agree. And I think I'm not sure that Mike Evans in this first game, maybe on the pitch count, will solve like all these issues. Yes, I think that the Bucs also struggled to attack these single high structures because they did not have the classic outside wide receiver. But I'm just not sure that Baker is near 100%. His accuracy has been off. This has been a bottom 5 passing offense over the past, 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm just not sure that they can solve all these issues just by having Mike Evans back. And yeah, I also cannot get to that number even with those players back. So I also like Atlanta.
All right. Tonight, we got Falcons Bucs live right here on Forward Progress. G-Stack George steering the ship for tonight's show. You know how it works. Sweating every drive, reacting to the big calls, talking live betting, hanging out with the chat the entire game. It's a real sweat with people who actually bet on and care about football. Hitman joins in the fourth quarter. Jeff Feinberg in the third. It's a really good show if you haven't checked it out. It's right here on Forward Progress tonight. Hop in the watch along. Ride Bucs Falcons with us live for that game. We're gonna.
I'll be on there second quarter.
Oh, I didn't get the memo yet.
Surprise! Yeah, I'll be on there second quarter.
I mean, you're gonna watch Kirk Cousins throw for 140 yards in that quarter, Austin.
I will take it.
Cannot wait. Reviewing our picks for this week. We're gonna need the over in the Commanders Giants game. I don't know how this happened, but it happened. Honestly, we didn't even talk about this beforehand either. It's not like we shared our opinions with one another or anything like that. They just happened to be there. But we all have the same triple hammer this week. For myself, I'm rounding out my card with Baltimore, Cincinnati under 51.5. The Rams -5.5, -115, even though I just saw Devontae Adams did not practice again for a second consecutive day. Oh, well, it is what it is. Suuma, Arizona, Houston under for you. And you are fading Phillip Rivers because you are a hater. So you're taking the Seahawks -13.5, -115. Austin, Patriots money line, and the hold your nose special on Sunday Night Football. Cowboys, Vikings under 47.5, -105. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for hanging with us today. Big thank you to Austin and Suuma. To our producer today, Pascal Prince, behind the scenes, keeping the show running smooth. We're back Thursday Night Football later on tonight. I will see you back here on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time for the pizza buffet. If you enjoyed the show, smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that stuff. Peace out, everyone. Good luck with your bets this week.